Now, in 2008, here the story goes like this. That in 2008, there was a very bad outbreak of xenophobia in the country, as a result of which at least 62 people were killed, and so on. It's true, there was that, something happened, and so many people were killed. I'm saying the mistake we made is this. The intelligence service at the time, which I was in better shape than it is today, actually looked at that matter in Alexander Township. That's where it started. That thing was not xenophobia from the ordinary people of Alexander saying we hate these Africans. It didn't come from that. It was a deliberate decision to drive out as many Zimbabweans as possible to go and vote in Zimbabwe. That 2008 election in Zimbabwe. And intelligence, our intelligence said all the details. Who started it? What meetings took place at Madala Hostel? Who was at it? All of that. It was a very deliberate, conscious attempt. You would remember, if those who were around, that the MDC in Zimbabwe even said we're going to send buses to come and fetch those people. Intelligence did a very detailed report about what that thing was. It wasn't xenophobia. It was not xenophobia in the sense of we hate these Africans. It was somebody who said, even more or less by definition, these Zimbabweans who've run away and are in South Africa, almost by definition will be against ZANU-PF. We need them in Zimbabwe to go and vote against ZANU-PF. In that group, which was responsible, they tried to do that, mobilize in Khutsong on the West Rand. There's a long report, you'll find it on the internet, on Khutsong. The local leadership in Khutsong of the ANC, the Communist Party, the trade unions, they said, no, we're not going to join that. There was no sign of any kind of any xenophobia in Khutsong. It was a political decision of the leadership. Because masses of the people in Khutsong or Alexander, people in Alexander ordinarily, they didn't want to say we want to chase Zimbabweans. It was a political decision. I'm saying the mistake we made, comrades, was that we should actually have declassified that report from intelligence. I've said this publicly, that I hope the government now can declassify that report so that people can understand the kind of detail Trevor is asking for. Practically, what is happening in our country? All instances, all of them, except in this listed one, current one, whether you're talking about Natal, Cape Town, or Durban, all the instances that we've heard of these things, they are organizers. There are reasons for it. In the Cape Town townships, it was fights among traders. So that in the end, they sat together, all the traders, like Khayelitsha, and said, let's have an agreement among ourselves, the traders. These parts of Khayelitsha, it's us, the domestic ones, will have our shops. You, Somalis or whatever, that section. And price, food, bread, this and that, let's not compete on price. They had a very detailed trading agreement, and that was the end of the violence. It's because you don't have an instinct among the ordinary mass of the people. The people that Comrade Vavi represents, his workers, they don't instinctively say we hate foreigners. Somebody else goes and organizes them. Like now. What is happening today?
I genuinely believe that the current happenings between South Africa and Zimbabwe are just a blessing in disguise. So encourage Zimbabweans to buckle up. The time for freedom is now. In life, if you do not take accountability or action on time, it will take a lot of pressure in order for you to realize that people are done with your nonsense. So we woke up to a statement that was released by President Ramaphosa's office that they no longer stand to support terrible shenanigans in Africa, especially Zimbabwe. So to be specific, Zimbabwe, that is the most notorious child in the region. But stick around as we're going to be digging into that story. It's not an easy time that we're in. Let's pray for each other. Because even those that are employed in South Africa, I can only imagine. I'm talking about the ones that are employed, the corporate guys, because I've been in that space before. It is not an easy one. The atmosphere is tense. And honestly, I'm praying for you. Let's pray for each other. Mr. Mnangagwa, he thinks he's got it all under control. But no, sir. Things are getting really bad for you. If I were in your court, you will consider my advice. It's time for you to seek for a settlement. If you don't, it will end badly for you. The people are getting very upset. See how those that are coming back home, they are angry because of you, Mugabe, your administration that looted billions and billions of dollars from the public and also unleashed violence on our people. It is actually very sad. So in general, if we don't take action as a SADC region, there will be a heavy price to pay.
Cyril Ramaphosa, my brother, he's the worst president. He's the worst president in the history of the world. He's worse than Hitler. And he's very dangerous, Cyril Ramaphosa. The ANC, they've undermined him. They thought that they will control him because of the power behind him. I mean, he's got all these Zionist movements. They gave him power. The ANC, they cannot touch him. You know, he's powerful. They groomed him. So for me now, Cyril Ramaphosa, my brother, he's one guy who needed to go to jail after elections. If wishes were horses, I will trial him. FNP Stadium, sentence him today. Put a tire on his neck today. Bring back death sentence. He deserves it. Cyril Ramaphosa deserves a death sentence, my brother. You know, actually, almost all of them, they don't deserve, to be with us. These guys are cruel, my brother. If we check the state of the hospitals, we find ourselves. These guys are cruel. They have no heart. If you know where we come from, Sabutaki, we will not govern the way the ANC is governing. So for me, Cyril Ramaphosa, my brother, if there was death penalty, he deserved it. Unfortunately, death penalty in South Africa. So it's gone and gone. Yabo.
It's important for us to know that the government of Emmerson Mnangagwa is heartless. All that is currently going on in Zim, you have never heard Mnangagwa commenting. A president of a country. In fact, I also heard that the president of Malawi was in South Africa. With all that was going down, he never even visited the people. He never even said a word. One day we need to discuss about what leadership really means when it comes to African leaders. For Mnangagwa, it is about extracting, it's about luxury lifestyle, buying himself the latest car in town, make sure he flies the most expensive jet. But if you ask him what is there for Zimbabweans to benefit, you won't have an answer. But at the end of the day, violence will visit you. I was sitting with the president, was sitting with a gangster. Maybe some people need to educate me because I'm so sick and tired of nonsense. But I'm going to read a comment that Fazema wrote. She said, I wish to unequivocally state that unhu wenyu hwehudyire nekuparadza nyika ndozvatisvitsa pano. Mauraya nyika kusvika pekuti vana vevu vakuitwa imbwa kune dzimwe nyika. ZANU-PF must hang its head in shame. Gutsa ruzhinji became mbunyikiza ruzhinji. And so here we are. You want to force an illegal term extension so that you prolong our suffering. Ndizvo zvakaenderwa kuhondo here izvi. We need new leaders. It's sad scenes of our Zimbabwean people. Let me tell you, I didn't sleep. I think for the past 2 days I've been struggling. In fact, the day before yesterday, I slept around 4 a.m., just sitting, trying to understand why is this country so stuck? What is really going on? What is happening to us? How did we even get here? I wasn't alone, because some of my friends as well phoned me and said, we are crying because watching Zimbabweans suffer this way. You only say to yourself, this country is under a curse. Zimbabwe, whether we like it or not, it is under a curse. And that curse, it has to be destroyed now. Not tomorrow, we don't have time. I'm saying now. Ramaphosa is trying to save himself because he's under pressure. Also, South Africans are angry because of the gaslighting of ZANU-PF. Now, take a listen to the minister.
The ANC had to take the position of saying, we are going to accept the outcomes as it is, and we are going to make sure we prioritize the interest of this country to ensure political stability of our country. And we call other sister countries in the region to do the same. Because when there's political stability, there will be economic prosperity. So we are ready to have those conversations. And we also appreciate that South Africans cannot carry the burden of their country being stable. And there are those who will say, oh, you benefited from the hospitality of your sister countries during your fight against apartheid. Yes, we benefited. You tell us that it's more than 30 years, so we cannot go back and complain about apartheid and say the difficulties of service delivery are inherent. Why is the same conversation not being asked? It's more than 30 years that the South African government, the apartheid government, has ended even destabilizing countries of the African region. Why are they not being asked to ensure their own political stability? There's no apartheid government that is destabilizing any country now. 32 years. So we must all take responsibility of ensuring political stability in our own countries, and we must work together collectively to ensure economic prosperity of the African continent. There's no single country that will carry the burden of others, because that country will itself collapse. It is for that reason that South Africa were committed to supporting the initiatives in Angola on the development of the Lobito corridor. We've mobilized our South African investment companies to make sure that we support the development of the Lobito corridor. There's no country in the West or in the East that can have the interest of developing the African continent more than South Africa. And we must show it by investments in our own, through our own companies.
ZANU-PF is blackmailing South Africa, whether we like it or not. I'm saying this because last week when Chris Mnangagwa came to South Africa and had an interview with SABC and Newsroom Africa, he continued to blame or to accuse South Africa of being unfair towards their brothers. But he forgets that there's some people unleashing violence on Zimbabweans, their own children, their own brothers, their own family, and expect South Africa to take accountability. They have never been accountable to the Zimbabwean people. All they know is every time you ask them questions, you will never be able to get an answer. It's they're always shouting and be screaming. You must not forget, this is the same Chris Mnangagwa that was in South Africa in 2023. And he said, you guys, if you want to take Zimbabwe, you need to fight us the way we fought Smith regime. Now that they're being exposed, that most of them never even went to war. They're just criminals who are masquerading as war veterans. They're now coming back and sing a different song. We can't continue dealing with men who never take accountability. So as far as I'm concerned, I stand with South Africa. Zimbabweans, I know it doesn't feel good. I know it feels like we are being mistreated, but the reality is that we need to resolve our issues in Zimbabwe. We need to have a functioning country. Whether South Africa is there or not, we must stand together to get rid of Mnangagwa and all his criminal gangs and demand that we have a government that is for the people. That is my tag. But who else can pass a comment except Tawanda Nyambere? By the way, I must also send him some love and light because Tawanda Nyambere and Beatrice Tetwa have been doing a great job when it comes to helping Zimbabweans, either they are being incarcerated, especially by Mnangagwa's regime. They really have been steered by the people. But on the same note, Mr. Nyambere, I need to read your comment in regards to what's going on in South Africa. Again, Zimbabwe, never to take accountability. After 40-something years of independence, You're still stuck in blaming neighbors for your failures to account to the money, for the billions that are being spent, using state money, buying cars, abusing citizens. There's no excuse. Zimbabwe is filthy rich. It has a lot of money in, but that money is just being abused by Mnangagwa and his gangs. Never in our lifetime would we ever saw an advice of a president living such a flamboyant life. I'm talking about, look at how Tungwara is wasting money in the country. Look at Wikino Shivayo. 1.1 billion was lost in 2023. Guys, how much money did we lose in Zimbabwe? Or did we lose in Zimbabwe? A lot of money. And we're still losing money. So this has nothing to do with poverty. It has everything to do with managing state funds. So we're going to look at the comment that was written by Tawanda. So Tony Nyambere said, if we do not tell our history often enough, our children may end up hurting those who sacrificed so much for their freedom. Around 1996, during the early years of my legal practice, I was instructed to represent the South African embassy in a magistrate court matter. Mukoma David Munumeso had sued the South African government to recover rentals he had paid over the years for South African freedom fighters who had been housed undercover in the avenues during the struggle against apartheid. I was instructed by then South African High Commissioner, His Excellency Mr. Kingsley Mamawolo. The embassy accepted that Mukoma David Munumeso had indeed played the role described in his court papers, and I was asked to meet him to negotiate a settlement. He was being assisted by my college mate and friend, Advocate Martin Dina. We settled the matter and the South African embassy agreed to compensate him. What stayed with me was not the legal case, it was the conversation afterwards. I listened as Mukoma David Munumeso recounted the sacrifice made by ordinary Zimbabweans who quietly risked their lives, homes, and their livelihoods to support South Africans in the fight against apartheid. My heart broke today when I heard one of the marchers claim that Zimbabwe played no role in that struggle. I could not help but wonder, how does a man like Mukoma David Munumeso feel when he hears that? I have heard Thabo Mbeki speak with remarkable honesty about the solidarity shown by Zimbabwe and other frontline states during the liberation struggle. But are we on both sides of Limpopo doing enough to pass that history on to the next generation? Let me be clear. Illegal immigration cannot be justified, and every sovereign nation has the right to enforce its laws. But history also teaches us something about humanity. If the children of those who once sheltered and protected my family came to my door because their own home was burning, would I still turn them away? Would I first reach out to the parents who once stood by us so that together we could find a dignified and laid out solution? Together we could find a dignified and lasting solution, my bad. History should not divide us. It should remind us who we became because we stood together. Again, the gaslighting of Zimbabwe, and with all due respect, I've helped so many people, and some of them I don't even remember. And they actually remind me and said, no, you forget what you've done. I'm like, nah, I've forgotten, because whenever I do something, I move on. There's something that is so unique and distinctive about Zimbabwe, is that you continue to gaslight on people. This is a different generation. You should not even blame them. They did not feel what you felt. Your problem is not you did not progress. You're still stuck in the 1500s. How many countries you've seen always talking about their liberation struggle, except Zim? Because Mnangagwa is using the liberation to cushion his criminality, and has been doing it for the past decades. It's time for us to do what we need to do. Can we build our country? Last week, Chiwenga was on record saying it's time for us to wage a different war, building our economy. We need to move past all these, illusions that we are so stuck with. Guys, we lost our family members during the struggle. Many Zimbabweans have got scars. But how long are we going to mourn? I lost my mother about 16 years ago. Trust me, I think about her, but I've moved on. Imagine me sitting and keep on complaining about the death of my mama. And I know many Zimbabweans, even some kids right now are still orphans. They don't even have mom and daddy. But at some point, we need to move past that. We can always acknowledge and celebrate our forefathers. But can we remain stuck in the past while the country is burning? We've lost billions and billions and billions of dollars to criminality and still be crying about the past? Fathers, we need to be an honest society. These lies, deception is not going to take us anywhere. It's time for us to confront our problem. Our problem in Zimbabwe is criminality. Mnangagwa and his gangs need to be stopped. And that doesn't need you to gaslight on South Africa. You saw what Mkwananzi did, stood by the people. They're arresting all the criminal gangs, people that were almost hijacking the country, my bad. And here you are in Zim, you are romanticizing criminals. You are celebrating them. Even you, some of you claim to have fought during the war. You are the one who is busy dining with these criminals. Mr. Chiwenga, the VP Chiwenga, came to you and said, let's arrest criminal gangs. What did you do? Mnangagwa cushioned them. In fact, he's promoting most of these gangs. Whose fault is that? Is that South Africa's fault? It's your failure to deal with criminality and to be accountable to the Zimbabwean people. So please, can we just stop with the gaslighting? Yes, you did a great job, Mr. Nyambira, and I appreciate you. But can we remain stuck in the past? Because I genuinely believe that Ramaphosa came to Zim to speak to Mnangagwa, that I'm under pressure. You need to do something. And because Mnangagwa doesn't listen to anybody, which includes the war veterans, which includes even his vice president, the man that stood by him, he does not listen to anybody. He's a god by himself. So those are the issues that we need to confront. It is no longer about deceiving people. Let's confront the problem that we're facing in Zim is criminality and the lack of accountability. Violence that is being caused by gangsterism. Show me a country that pay, using the taxpayers' money, criminals that are harassing its citizens. Show me. I've said it over and over again, I've lost my respect for Emmerson Mnangagwa, including Auxilia herself. Because now it makes sense. She's been accommodating violence so that she can be in the office. That will not work. It will not happen. We are not going to allow it.
Because they'll frustrate you and they do nothing.
And he's got enemies, he's surrounded by his enemies, Shamwari. Surrounded.
I told you,
Andina. I think iwewe nenichichete my differences is timing. And I explained to you why I'm a bit cautious on these issues.
I even told you, even KT, algorithms were left, right, and center in the system. They sponsor Americans to write bad reports about him.
And the sponsors are people within the system itself.
And that DJ agents are reporting them cool. And I tell him, this man will throw you under the bus.
What's your thoughts, Nadiji?
DJ, we used to be close. We did a lot of things, but I then told him one day, there's Ngwaya. He told him about Ngwaya. Because we used to run a paro structure. I end up with Namdara. Ninya in the end of Futukoka with me. So better. You see, one thing you must know so that you understand, I don't need ED. ED needs me. And that's what I tell people. I'm not a politician. I'm no government due. I'm no government tender. I don't ask him for business. I've sacrificed for you. I've no government deal. I made money during the Mugabe time. I'm comfortable. I don't need anything. That's why with the attacks I have, I could be exposed every day of my life. Listen, that he knows it himself. If there's any person who he knows is me, that's Nta. And Rutom Shungurut. Because I am the only person who could tell him the truth. I don't have to see him for what? Kana munarasika arasika. So people going to Temba saying this and leave Temba alone. People have confessed to me that we weren't trying to attack you, president.
President akati uyu musiye akati ndozvaari ona babangu ko vese vanhu vako vari kufanana naye ukuthi you don't see him, but why should I see him when he does not listen? Sekundo yachikuti ati uyu mukadzi asira morambe mune ndingarambe nchi ndiri papo every day.
Azibatsira.
So there is nothing special about seeing him.
But if we know that he's surrounded by his enemies, must we not keep knocking and telling him?
Tell him what? Yakaputirwa nemishonga.
Mshonga wani?
When July month. Do you know he's written letters twice to fire July, and those letters have not been read?
Wow.
You must understand, whoever I touch loses a job. Mood I did it. Now I'm going for July. My narrative is clear on July. You see it. It's going down. Sekuru, in any spiritual document, Sekuru. When Mugabe fired me, I wrote a letter to him, everybody to tell him, what you've done is wrong. You'll be the next person. The precedent you've set is wrong. Mugabe kept on saying it. When people came to me and said, I said it publicly, but Machidzinga, teacher Tatan. It happened. Muda, I said it. July is next, Matanga is next. You cannot have such people. I told him about why. Office, you transact deals, but it's the individuals who are transacting deals with. There's nothing else.
Yeah, I believe you, because nyika yedu yatiri mwangu it's dangerous. Kweza katogara uko not autobo to comfortable kana kudya, because you don't know achakwisira poison muchikafu.
They see as an enemy. The next thing they end up talking rubbish. You see, he hasn't got an aura. Bob, you don't talk rubbish. Listen, I used to see Bob every month, 3 hours on Bob. When I met Bob and I did, you can say what you want, but you thought you were talking to a leader and a decision was made. Are you with me?
But then people say Bob's power came from this very same number one Saka. Can we really give credit to Bob? Yeah, and he was the head of security. He was the head of Negligent, of putting the armed forces together, of security and intelligence.
What? It's a myth. Bob, he came through Tongogara. You must understand his history. In Zambia, he came through. He was denied helping the war veterans. But then later on, Tongogara, because there was a war between the Zezurus and the Karangas in Zambia. The Karangas were wiped out. And then he realized that he needed
Yeah.
after the power mningi musina. Guys from Israel have teamed up with Chamisa voluntarily to give him security heads up. People who used to be pro-ED in the campaign have gone to Chamisa. Did you know that?
Inda.
So a lot is happening.
I'm not surprised that Vanamuliso are telling the truth. Emerson Mnangagwa isn't leadership material. I don't even know how you got there. But here we are. Then we need to come up with a solution. How can we revamp our country? We need to do away with him and these gangs for Zimbabwe to survive. We cannot continue with a president who abuses state funds the way that he does. Imagine taking money that's supposed to build the country and be buying cars. Show me any country where someone can be so disrespectful. So people are afraid to tell him the truth. But the reality is that we are not going anywhere if we don't confront him. So confrontation is what is coming. That one is not even a question. But anyway, you tell me what you think in the comment section. All I can say is that no chickens are coming home to roast. May God bless you and may God bless Zimbabwe. Bye for now.